Hello everyone, welcome to Tathastu ICS. My name is Pooja Sharma and I am here again with this new video in our upcoming series where we are going to guide you on for UPSC Mains Examination 2025, right? So let's start today's discussion, and let me tell you first, this particular discussion for today is going to surround around the trend analysis of GS paper 1 in mains analysis, so that you can have the idea what kind of questions are coming, what are the themes, right? So these are the important points which we are going to discuss today. So the first is the what type of PYQs are actually asked in GS paper 1. Second, we are going to discuss the repeated themes and the topics, and the third, we are going to discuss the strategy related to it. Actually, all the 3 points are going to be a part of a one analysis which I am going to provide you right now. Before diving into the trend analysis, let's understand the syllabus of GS1. Obviously, I am not giving you the complete whole syllabus. I am going to tell you what are the major topics which involve GS paper 1. As we know that, or if you are preparing for mains examination, you know that in the GS paper 1 we have these 3 main subjects. The one is history, the second geography, and the third one is your society, right? So one is your history part, this history part, the second is your geography part, and the third is your society part. In history part, actually there are 2 subparts. The one is your Indian heritage and culture, right? This is 1A, and the second is the history in general, or you can say that 1. Indian heritage and culture, there are 3 parts: art, architecture and literature, and then the history part, there are majorly 2 sections. The one is the history in general, the modern history. He is only talking about modern history. Then it actually talk about freedom struggle, and third, it talk about post-independent India, okay, what actually happened after the independence. And the fourth, it contains world history. Okay, I hope you understood. Okay, these 2 parts can be, we can have the trend analysis of these 2 parts in a one section. But other than that, you can say that Indian culture part is there, freedom struggle or modern history part is there, post-independence part is there, and world history part is there. Along with that, we have geography of the world and we have the society. Obviously, geography of the world consisted of geography of India as well. Consisted of geography of India, the physical features of India, in general, the other things about the India. Now, this is just the syllabus. Now, syllabus is not the only thing which we need to understand. Syllabus, obviously, one of the key of UPSC mains examination or the prelims examination is to understand the syllabus, and the second is the analysis of PYQs in general. So, when we are going to do analysis, we are going to understand the kind of the question which UPSC is asking, and along with that, we are also going to understand that what are the recurring themes and recurring topic which UPSC is asking day by day. Along with that, you will eventually, from all that analysis, you can easily extract the strategy of this examination also. So let's start with your first Indian culture part. First of all, we are going to talk in numbers. Okay? So in how many questions are coming from one particular section of Indian history part. So in Indian history part, first I am going to take the culture part only. So let's understand the trend. So culture, modern history, world history, and post-independence. So these are the 4 major parts when it comes to history. And you can see, actually I have done the analysis of these last 5 years. Why only 5 years? Because UPSC actually changes its trend in after 2 to 3 years. Okay, now times are gone when the UPSC used to change its trend in 10 years. But now, as the time is very fast, so UPSC is changing its trend every year. So every year in prelims examination also and in mains examination, you will get few questions which are very new. Some trends are very new. Few questions which you can somehow link with the previous year paper, and in the previous year paper you can get again the same thing. Few questions are very new and some are related to the previous year paper. So this is how you are going to have a trend analysis of your PYQs, right? So you can see that in Indian culture part, UPSC usually asks 3 questions. So on an average, UPSC asks 3 questions from culture part. In 2020, UPSC actually asked 4 questions, because, and in 2021, the questions were not that much, but in 22 you can say that there were 3 questions, in 23 again there were 3 questions, and in 24 there were again 3 questions. And if we look at the analysis, we can easily predict that in 2025 UPSC is definitely going to ask 3 questions from this particular Indian culture part. Here again, when it comes to Indian culture, don't think that UPSC is just going to ask you about the culture. UPSC can ask you about the social history, political history also. Basically, UPSC actually more focused on the social history. So not only Indian culture, for example, I will give you one example of an Indian culture question from 2024 only, where UPSC asks how the society changed from pre-Vedic, Rig Vedic period to later Vedic period. So this question was not a question from the culture part. This question was basically from an ancient history part and specifically focused on society. And before that also UPSC has asked many questions which were based on the social structure of a particular time period. So whenever you are preparing for Indian culture part, don't think that you have to prepare only art, architecture and literature, which is exactly mentioned in your syllabus. Along with that, you have to prepare your ancient and medieval as well. Modern history is written directly in your mains syllabus, but you have to prepare your ancient and medieval also. Okay, you cannot get away with this that only culture is going to come, though ancient and medieval history specifically not mentioned in your JS syllabus. But my advice is you please go through your ancient history and medieval history part also, because UPSC is asking question these days. Let's come to our modern history part. So UPSC on an average is asking 2 questions from this modern history section. So Indian culture part, although you can say that the combination of ancient and medieval is more important slightly as compared to the modern history part when it comes to mains examination. So here UPSC is asking 2 questions, 3, 2, 2 and 2 questions, and this year also we can predict that UPSC here is going to ask you 2 questions, right? Then in world history and post-independence, sometimes UPSC asks questions, sometimes UPSC doesn't ask any question at all. So you can see that in world history in 2020 UPSC didn't ask any question. In 2021 there was 1 question, in 2023 there were 2 questions, and again in 24 there is 1 question. So we can see that previously in 2021, 2021, 22 UPSC was not asking many questions from world history. But from last 2 years analysis, we can see that UPSC is actually interested in world history. So world history questions are coming, and this year also you can predict 1 or 2 questions from world history, right? But don't worry, in world history part UPSC is not going to ask you very difficult question. UPSC is basically going to ask you questions which are based on major themes, okay, major themes or major events that happened in world history. UPSC is not going to ask you a random question from world history that you have to go through, post-graduation type of books if you will have to prepare for world history. Again, don't, avoid world history altogether. At least prepare the major events that happened in the world history. I will give you a proper analysis also. Then let's come to post-independence part. You can see that in last 2 years, UPSC did not ask any question from post-independence. Instead, UPSC has asked question from world history. So you can see that if UPSC is asking question from world history, then there is no question from post-independence. When either UPSC is not asking any question from world history or post-independence. So the weightage of Indian culture and modern history part is more as compared to world history and post-independence, but you cannot altogether avoid these sections also. You have to prepare that, and this year if you look at that analysis of last 5 years, you can actually have, or actually UPSC can actually ask at least 1 question from your post-independence part. So you can see that you cannot leave world history and post-independence altogether. You have to prepare for that. My suggestion is you prepare the major events that happen in world history and post-independence, and you prepare Indian culture and modern history part thoroughly, especially the freedom movement. The most of the questions which UPSC is asking from the freedom movement, these two questions which are going to come from your modern history part. Altogether UPSC actually asks 6 questions when it comes to history, total 6 questions, out of which mostly 3 questions are 10 marker and 3 questions are 3 mark, right? So UPSC is asking actually major part from the history. Now let's understand the trend one by one. First, let's understand the Indian culture part. So let's decode what kind of question UPSC is actually asking. So you can see that I have bifurcated your Indian culture part in major themes. Why I am only mentioning these themes? So these are not the only themes. So because I am mentioning these themes, because these are recurring themes. So UPSC is asking question again and again from these themes. Okay, so let's understand this table, but as written here. So you can see that in Vedic society and religion part, UPSC is asking question again and again. So UPSC has asked this question in 2023 also, in 2024 also. Okay, in 2024 also there was a question from Vedic society, and previously also UPSC has asked question from Vedic society. You can see that UPSC actually never asked history based question from prehistorical period. There was one question from Mesolithic painting. Okay, because Mesolithic painting in the prehistorical part is the most important parts. So whenever UPSC is asking question from the history, those questions are not from very less known events. The questions are from very well known topics, okay, and the important topics of that particular area. So in prehistory UPSC asked one question, okay, once I think in 2016 about Mesolithic paintings. Other than that there was no question from prehistoric India. From Indus Valley civilization also we did not get much question, though in prelims examination IVC is a very famous, very favorite topic for UPSC. But when it comes to mains examination, Vedic culture is, Vedic society is UPSC's favorite topic. So you need to prepare this particular theme very thoroughly. Again, UPSC is not going to ask you factual question, UPSC is going to ask you conceptual question, analytical question, means social, economic or religious evolutions. So UPSC is more focused on. We cannot say UPSC is not asking question on political terms, okay, UPSC is not asking about the political history. Very rarely UPSC will ask you about the political history, but UPSC will focus on the social, economic and religious evolution. Why is that? Okay, very basic understanding of this particular part which I have said. You are going to become an IAS officer or IPS officer or an IRS officer. So you are going to deal with the people in general. So you are going to become civil servant. You are going to become servant of civil. Civil means you are going to become the servants of society. So you need to know how the society in general evolved from the prehistorical period till now. So the society part throughout the history is very important when it comes to mains examination, especially in the history part of GS1, right? So you can see that is trend here. UPSC basically asks you about the continuity, changes over time, relevance of modern society. Sometimes UPSC give you something which is related to the history, then UPSC ask you about the relevance in modern society, because once UPSC asks question from IVC that talk about the urbanization or urbanization part, or we can say that the architectural part of architectural technology of Indus Valley civilization, and how can you link that urbanization of Indus Valley civilization with the modern urbanization in modern society. So UPSC can ask you about the comparison. So whenever you are reading a particular topic or a particular chapter, even if you are preparing from the start, so you keep that mind, how can you link a particular period in the history with the present day. Other than that, UPSC asks you about the continuity, how things are continuous, let's say from the IVC till today, what are the features which were there in the Vedic society and they are still relevant in the society. So UPSC is asking such kind of question also, and UPSC is also asking the changes over time. Like UPSC have asked this question, how the economy and the society changed from Rig Vedic period to later Vedic period. Now UPSC can ask you question on the similar terms, that give us the changes, how the society changes from Mauryan period to Gupta period, and other things also. So again, you need to understand the kind of question UPSC is asking, along with that the topics which are quite favorite to UPSC. Okay. Similarly, from temple architecture, and temple architecture is again very important topic for UPSC, or in general, you know, contribution of a particular dynasty for this in this architecture or art or literature is very, you know, favorite topic of UPSC. Here UPSC basically ask you, repeatedly UPSC have asked about the contribution of Cholas, Pallavas, Guptas, all these things. So in 2020, 22, 23, UPSC is repeatedly asking the contribution of specifically the South Indian states. So especially the South India's art heritage. So strong emphasis here is on South India's art heritage. So for example, UPSC haven't asked you about the contribution of Vijayanagara Empire. So this year UPSC can ask you the contribution of Vijayanagara Empire in art, architecture and literature also. Again, never ever forget literature. Architecture you can make it a part of art, but UPSC can specifically ask you about the literature. UPSC can ask you the contribution of Bahmani's kingdom also, the contribution of Mughals also in art and architecture of this country. By the trend, UPSC is more focused on the South Indian kingdoms, but again UPSC can ask you about the North Indian kingdoms, right? Now UPSC is again very keen interested in the Bhakti literature and Bhakti movement, because literature is something that is specifically mentioned in your syllabus. So UPSC asks many times questions about literature. So UPSC can ask you question about Sanskrit literature also. UPSC can ask you about the Sangam literature. UPSC can ask you about the Tamil literature, the contribution and all. UPSC, and why Bhakti movement is more important? In Bhakti movement, UPSC can ask two kind of question. But one kind of question, the Bhakti saints. Sometimes once UPSC ask you about the one saint from the some. Now UPSC recently have asked about the Bhakti literature, how Bhakti literature in general contributed to the society. Then on the same line UPSC can ask you question this time. So you prepare this part, this theme also very thoroughly. Then UPSC sometimes ask about the mythological symbols, like the contribution, what is the significance of bull, what is the significance of lion, and their spiritual meaning. So these such kind of questions are not from a particular time period. Such kind of question, if you have read your whole history, you have a good understanding. Then if UPSC is going to ask you about the contribution of, let's say, bull in India's history, then we have to mention the bull which is there in Pashupati seal. Then we have to mention the bull which is actually one of the capital in Ashoka's pillars, and the significance of bull later on also. So you have to think of the wherever in history you have seen the bull as a symbol. So you have to pick that and you need to give the explanation. So UPSC can give you such such kind of question where you have to put your energy, you need to put your mind. Okay. So this is a trend analysis of Indian culture part. Now let's come to these are the same things which I just repeated. UPSC emphasize on interdisciplinary connections. Society is very favorite to UPSC. Philosophy, architecture, South India's contribution, specifically Cholas and Pallavas, UPSC has already asked. Once UPSC can ask you about Gupta's contribution also. UPSC can ask you about the North India's contribution also. It is not that South Indian contribution are also only going to be there. Again, the static facts are insufficient. Obviously, you need to know the static facts. Facts are very important, but UPSC is basically asking you a question where you need to explain something, evaluate something, or comment on something, or critically analyze something. So analytical question you are going to get. Now let's come to modern history part and let's see what kind of question UPSC is going to ask. First of all, UPSC focus very much on these phases of freedom struggle, where we have these different movements like non-cooperation movement, civil disobedience movement, Quit India movement, and other program of Gandhi. Again, Gandhiji in general is one of favorite topic of UPSC. Gandhiji. When it comes to your essay also, UPSC has asked many times essays which are relevant to Gandhiji, and personalities, word personalities is mentioned in your mains examination, sorry, syllabus, and UPSC has asked you this personality, about this personality many times, and sometimes UPSC asks you to compare Gandhiji with others. For example, once UPSC asked you about comparison of Gandhi with Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar. So other than that also UPSC can ask you about other such kind of comparison. But Gandhi ji is very central and very favorite to UPSC when it comes to mains examination. So you prepare everything which is there on Gandhi, or you can actually read something other than your basic books about Gandhi if you want to. If you are feeling if you are not studying anything, there is a day where you don't feel like studying, then why don't you read a book on Gandhiji, because that is actually going to help you out in this examination as well. Now role of individuals, again Gandhiji, in role of Tagore, role of moderate, Young Bengal movement. So UPSC asks such kind of, again recurring. UPSC actually have this tendency to repeat its topic. Obviously the same question, it is very highly unlikely you are going to get the same question, but UPSC actually repeat its themes. Okay, so this is something you need to understand, right? Other than that, UPSC asks you about the impact of colonial rule on our country. Okay, in what way? For example, once UPSC this year only, last year UPSC asked you about the tribal resistance when it comes to colonial rule. Once UPSC asked about the famine, what was the role of famine, why so many famine happened during the British Raj. Handicraft decline, what were the issues, okay, which led, what were the events or what were the reasons why in India the handicraft industry actually declined. So what was the reason for deindustrialization of India? Obviously in the center of it there is colonial rule. So what was the impact of colonial rule? Again, very rarely UPSC is going to ask you about the impact of colonial rule on the political organization of this country, right? But UPSC can ask you about the impact on society, impact on women, impact on tribal people, right? Impact on economy in general. So why economy? Look, economy is not very disjoint from the society, because if economy is flourishing, it means people are coming out of poverty. So condition of people are good. But if the economy is declining, economy is not that great, it means people are suffering. So who are central when it comes to UPSC? People are central. And why? Because you are going to become officer. So you, for your, throughout your journey of your employment, if you are going to become an IAS officer, people are going to be central. So that's why in examination also UPSC is going to ask you question where people are central. Even if it's the social condition of the people, economic condition of the people, okay, and especially the vulnerable section, the women, okay, impact on them. So UPSC focus on such kind of vulnerable group in general. Then military and administrative issue, UPSC has asked you about East India Company's army, sometimes UPSC asks about Curzon's policy. Again UPSC many a times ask you about the socio-religious reform as well, so Brahma Samaj and Young Bengal movement, etc. But obviously you can see that these are UPSC's favorite. So where you need to focus, obviously you are going to prepare your modern history thoroughly, but you need to focus specially on these particular movements, okay, especially the movements which were which were led by Gandhiji. And in general, Gandhiji as a personality, whatever he has done in all the fields, that again is very, very important, right? Now let's come to our next analysis. Again, this is the same thing which I have just repeated. Now let's come to world history. So what kind of question UPSC is asking? Earlier UPSC used to ask random question from world history, okay. Earlier it means in 2000, from 2013 to, you will say, till 2017-18. So it was very random. So we could not predict, we could never predict what kind of question UPSC is going to give from world history. So world history part, to preparation of world history part become very, very difficult. But these days, if you look at the trend, the preparation of world history is not that difficult. So let's understand that how. Now, if you look at just the last 5-year paper, you can see that UPSC is basically focusing on the major events only. Okay? For example, Industrial Revolution. Industrial Revolution is a major impact, a major event. So you need to know about. Okay, if you don't know about Industrial Revolution, I mean, everyone who is preparing for UPSC, they need to know. They should know about Industrial Revolution. Again, the kind of question they are asking, not the theme is the world history, but they will ask you their linkage with India, how it actually impacted India. So Industrial Revolution's impact on Indian cottage industry. Okay, so UPSC has asked this question. So global local linkage is something where UPSC is very much interested these days. Then UPSC this year only asked about the railways and the socio-economic changes and its worldwide impact. Again, when UPSC is asking you about the worldwide impact or the impact of railways, okay, in general to all over the world, we can mention the Indian part as well. Okay, again we can see that it is also the linkage, the world history is somehow linked to India's history. Challenges to democracy, fascism, Nazism, UPSC have asked, and the World War I and the World War II in general is very important. What were the events which led to World War I, events that led to World War II, what actually happened in between World War I and World War II, what were the problems in the final negotiation of World War I which led to World War II, how the world reacted after World War II. Okay, so these are the very important events, and how the things change after that you need to understand. UPSC can ask you about how the world has changed after World War II and how it was linked with the independence of India. So UPSC can ask this question. So UPSC basically is going to focus on the linkage. Again, these are the favorite topics of UPSC. And recurring, UPSC actually asks things again and again. So if you are preparing for world history and you haven't prepared for it earlier and you are going to appear in this particular mains examination which is going to be there in October, now you can at least prepare these topics. Okay? At least prepare Industrial Revolution, French Revolution, American Revolution, their impact on India's freedom struggle. Okay, linkages is very, very important. Other than that, you can actually prepare for World War I, issues related to World War I, why World War I happened, World War II, what happened between World War I and World War II, and in general how India's history is linked to the world history. So wherever Indian history is linked to world history, those topics are super important, right? Again, now let's come to post-independence part. Not much questions are asked from the post-independence India. Earlier UPSC used to ask many other questions where you needed to prepare, you need to read a big books. But these days, from last 2 to 3 years analysis, we can say that UPSC is very much focused on these things. Okay, first the integration of princely state or reorganization state. Again, because UPSC have the very less tendency to ask something related to political history. Okay, but this political history, integration of princely state and reorganization of state, it actually impacted Indian society at large. So we still have, okay, we still have the effects what actually happened at that point of time in the present day. So we need to understand the how states were bifurcated, why states were bifurcated on the basis of language. So we need to understand everything. So whatever happened in 1956, how it was linked with the integration from the princely state, and UPSC can actually ask you on the similar theme what actually happened in general in 19th century. So 19th century, but all things that happened in 19th century which led to the bifurcation or which led to the states which we have right now in India. Okay, so such kind of linkages you can have. Now let's come to our geography part. So this was your history or Indian culture analysis. Now let's come to geography part. First we will see that how many questions UPSC is asking from each subsection of geography. I have divided the geography into these 6 sections: physical geography, human geography, environmental geography. Okay, physical geography in general is very important, along with that human geography. Some people focus too much on physical geography, they neglect human geography. For them, I am telling you, UPSC actually asks a good number of questions from human geography. So you cannot neglect human geography in your preparation. Okay, so the NCERT of human geography is very, very important. the topics such as population, very important. So topics such as census, very important. Now, environmental geography and climate, why it is important? Why it is important? Because the climate change is happening. Climate change is something that is the reality, and it is so much in news. So there will be so many events which are going to happen in your current affairs, where UPSC can directly pick the topics and can ask you. Geographical feature of India specific, actually you can link also these two topics. Here I am talking about the physical geography in general, the world. Here I am specifically talking about the India. Then the mapping, regional planning and disaster and coastal management. So let's see how the trend of each and every subsection of the geography has changed with time. So you can see that when it comes to physical geography, so UPSC is asking one question definitely. Okay, so one or two question UPSC asks every year. And if you look at the last 2 years analysis, UPSC is asking two questions. And if you link the India, if you are going to add the Indian part also, so this time UPSC can actually ask you 3 questions. So from the physical geography part, UPSC can ask you 3 main questions. So it is again very, very important. Again, if you look at the human geography, earlier UPSC used to ask only 1 question, but from last 2 years UPSC is asking 2 questions from human geography. Why? Why human geography is more important? Human geography is very much related to the society. UPSC is going to make the question more societal question paper. Again, why? Because you are going to become civil servant, the servant of the society only. Now, then the India specific is already there. Then the mapping part and the disaster management part. In the disaster and coastal management also, you can see that UPSC is again increasing the number of questions asking. If you are going to combine last 4 years trend, you can see that the physical geography and human geography along with the environmental geography or the climate change. So these 3 topics are very, very important, which you cannot avoid at any cost, right? So let's take these topics one by one and let's see what kind of question UPSC has asked. So when it comes to physical geography, so what are the themes which are the recurring themes? So mountain systems, again very important when it comes to UPSC. UPSC has asked question many a times about the mountain system all over the world and how it was changing the physiography of that region. Ocean current, atmospheric phenomena, lithosphere related concept, and let me give you some examples also. So in 2024, UPSC asked you about the Aurora Australis and Borealis. Why? Actually, let me give you one more hint. In physical geography also, the kind of question UPSC is going to give you, somehow they will be linked to the current affairs. Current affairs, how current affairs? So you will say, is there any current affairs in geography section? Yes, in geography also we have current affairs. Okay, so monsoon is changing because of the climate change. So many, the physical phenomena or atmospheric circulation, they are changing. So they are so much in news every day. So that's why UPSC is asking you questions about all these things. Okay. Again, here was a question, describe the characteristic and type of the primary rocks. This is a very basic question from your NCERT. Basic question from your NCERT. So how to prepare? So you can see that NCERTs are definitely very, very important. Along with that, you need to focus on what is happening in the current. If auroras are so much in news, then UPSC can ask you this particular phenomena, though this phenomena is not much mentioned in your NCERT. But if you see a particular geographical phenomena repeating again and again in newspaper, you please go and prepare for it. At least prepare 500 words. Out of those 500, at least prepare 300 words so that you can write a 250 or 150 word answer. Then again, alignment of mountain ranges and local weather condition. I have told you the mountain system in general is important. Okay. Now, let's come to human geography. So what are the themes which are favorite to UPSC? Migration is very important. Settlement pattern, urban issue, population distribution. All these topics are very, very when it comes to geography. So in 2024, UPSC has asked question about the urban migration, their biases, vulnerability of the urban poor in general. In light of geography, how geographical condition led to the vulnerability of urban poor. Then resource potential of India's coast and disaster preparedness. So UPSC has focused so much on this human geography part, which we tend to ignore. Now environmental, it is very, very important. Why? So climate change is something that is in trend. UPSC is also going to ask you question about it. So you can say there are so many questions. So decline of groundwater potential in the Ganga Valley. Why UPSC has asked? Because there were so many articles. There were so many articles in 2024 that the groundwater potential of Gangetic Valley is decreasing day by day. But we have to write this question from geographical point of view, and UPSC actually linked it with the food security also, because obviously the groundwater potential is very much directly linked to agriculture. Agriculture is directly linked to your food security, right? Then the role of wetlands in biodiversity. UPSC has asked this question in paper 1 only, not in paper 3, paper 1, GS paper 1, and the carbon sequestration. So don't disjoint things. So environment part can be asked in GS paper 1 in the form of geography. Consequences of climate change on food security in tropical countries. Again, you can see that food security, UPSC is so much interested in food security, agriculture. Why again? Why food security? Because it is food security is for people centric. So even if UPSC is going to ask you question from geography, somehow that particular events or whatever UPSC is asking has some kind of effect on the society or the people. Okay, so this is one hint I am going to give you. Again, the process of desertification doesn't have climate boundaries. Justify with example. These questions are there because of the climate change or the change in the biodiversity. It is the environmental part, but these questions are being asked in GS paper. Now, India specific questions are there. River systems are UPSC's favorite. Monsoon, again UPSC asks in every 1 or 2 years UPSC asks question about the monsoon. Other than that, drainage system or river system, the same thing, and vegetation zone. Most of the question base you can have from NCERT, like why is the southwest monsoon called Purvaiya, okay, in the Bhojpur region? How has this directional seasonal wind system influenced the cultural ethos of that region? So UPSC combined a question from geography to culture of a particular area. So be prepared for such kind of question. Okay, so you have to be very, very analytical, very, very innovative in your examination only. You cannot predict all the question, obviously. I am just going to give you the idea what kind of question UPSC is asking in GS paper 1, so that you whenever you are going to prepare for it, or the moment you will have your question paper in your hand, you can think that okay, this is what I was actually expecting. So no, paper should not be something that you will say no, the question is not, paper is not from NCERT, paper is not going to be completely from NCERT. Obviously the analysis and the innovation part you have to do. Sectors responsible for diversity in natural vegetation in India, very basic question, and you can actually do this question from NCERT. Characteristics of the Indian monsoon system. This year also we can see that there is flood in the northeast. UPSC can ask you about the flood, UPSC can ask you about the urban flood in general, or what is the problem with the northeast. Landslide happened in Wayanad, UPSC can ask you question from that. Again, in geography, current affairs, whatever happened in current affairs is very, very important, because UPSC is going to ask you questions which have practical approach. So you should know what is the meaning of landslide. So if you are posted in an area which is a landslide prone region, so you should know what to do. You should know the geography of the area, why it actually happened, so that you can avoid such kind of disaster. Okay. Now the disaster and coastal zone management, 3 question UPSC has asked in last 5 years. So India's coastal resources and disaster preparedness, about declining groundwater. Okay, this question can be a part of that disaster also. Now let's come to our next session. Next section, or we can say that subject in GS paper 1, that is the social issue. So what kind of question UPSC is asking? Social issue. First, let's look at the numbers. So I have bifurcated your society in these 6 subsections. Let's see which these sections are again the favorite of UPSC. UPSC is very much interested in Indian society, Again, the topic diversity of India is very, very important. Okay, UPSC has asked many a time about the diversity, but diversity can be any kind of diversity: cultural diversity, linguistic diversity, ethnic diversity, right? Again, be prepared for all kind of diversity. Women and gender issue in general are very important. Population related questions will be there. Questions based on the poverty, development and vulnerability will be there. The question can be about the caste, regionalism and communication. Caste census is there. UPSC can directly ask you about the caste census. You can see that with time UPSC is actually, if you look at the Indian society, UPSC is asking one question every year. Once UPSC even asks 2 questions. When it comes to diversity, you can almost each year you can get one question specifically for this topic. Look, Indian society part is very large part, but this is a very specific topic. Very specific topic, and you can see that UPSC is asking question almost every year. So there is no, you won't get, it is not going to take much time to prepare for the diversity of India, part in a very short time period. Women issue, every year UPSC is asking about the women or gender issue. Okay, you can see that. So again, you can specifically prepare for it. Population related issue, almost every year UPSC is asking about the population. Every year UPSC is asking about the poverty section, and every year UPSC is asking about either caste, regionalism or communalism, right? So these are the favorite topics. Even if you don't have much time, at least prepare these 6 topics where UPSC is asking question again and again. Now, let's look at the trend. So we are going to pick each and every subsection and we will see what kind of question UPSC has asked in GS paper 1. So first, diversity. Again, I have combined the Indian society part and the diversity part all together. So we can say that what kind of question UPSC has asked. How Indian society has preserved diversity through ages. Okay, again the question you can say it is from Indian society or it is question from the part of diversity. India's linguistic diversity and measures for its protection, right? Regionalism and its implication for national integration. So these kind of issue. Once UPSC even ask you question about, I haven't mentioned the question about the family system, how the family system and diversity are linked with each other and cultural continuity. This diversity part in general is very important. UPSC. Now, the women and gender issue, again very recurring theme when it comes to UPSC. Urban migration. In 2024 only UPSC asked you about the urban migration, gender biases and vulnerability of poor women. In 2020, UPSC asked you about the role of women organization in empowering Indian women in general, right? So women as a topic is very, very important, on gender biases, gender issues. Now, how are you going to prepare? First of all, obviously, this is a basic theme in your society part, but you can actually have your understanding of current affairs also. Okay, what is happening in the current? So on the basis of that also, from where you are going to get the example, you will get example from the current affairs only to give in your society part. Now, population and related issue are again UPSC's favorite. UPSC has asked you about the demographic transition, its consequences, fertility rate. Again, caste census was so much in news this year. So UPSC can definitely easily ask the one question from caste census, its implications in general. Should it be there or not? So don't only expect this question in your GS paper 2, in GS paper 1 also UPSC can ask you about the caste census. Again the poverty development part, UPSC's favorite, and the caste, religion and communication. This is also very favorite theme of UPSC. You can see UPSC has asked you about caste conflict, affirmative action in modern India, effect of caste system on Indian democracy as such. So these are again the recurring themes when it comes to the social issues part of GS paper 1. Okay. So I hope you understood what are the recurring theme, what kind of question UPSC is asking. Again, you could see the question which I have showed you. These questions were not the basic or the direct question. UPSC is going to ask you about the analysis, the evaluation, the critical analysis part, okay, examination part. Examination means examine something, evaluate something, critically analyze something. Do you think it is true or not? Okay, what were the effects? What are the implications? So such kind of question you are going to ask, UPSC is going to ask. Very less question, either we are talking about history or we are talking about geography or the society. In the society there will not be much political part, but UPSC is very less interested in the political history or okay, how things change. UPSC is more interested in the social and economic aspect of history, right? In geography you could see UPSC was more interested in the climate change part, and UPSC, the kind of question UPSC is asking were directly there in the current affairs. For example, this year landslide happened, okay, so UPSC can ask you about the landslide, vulnerability of people which are living in those slopes. Again, UPSC, the northeast flood is there, so again it is a major topic which is directly related to climate change, or you can say that geography, so UPSC can ask you question about that. Food security is very famous, very favorite topic of UPSC. UPSC can actually link this food security with the geography also. Sometimes UPSC can, it is obviously an economic topic, but UPSC can ask you this question from the geographical point. So UPSC can surprise you in many ways. What is the solution of it? The solution is only preparation of this examination with the proper analysis of these PYQs. So going through these PYQs are very, very important, so that you can have the idea, you can have a structure that what UPSC is expecting from it, or you are going to prepare on the similar lines. Okay. So this is all about this particular session. So we are going to meet again. Till then, goodbye and have a very, very nice day.